Welcome back, Heat Seekers. It's your Week 7 tight end tiers.
To start off with the tight end group, we have Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, Mark Andrews, and Gronk.
This would be one of those folks in the tight end 1 overall tier. Obviously, we know 3 of them are healthy and playing and good to go. Gronk, keep an eye on that injury report. And I know they're not playing Thursday night, so definitely check back in Sunday. The Boomer Bust Show will help you out. Obviously, the Week 7 buys will be at the bottom of the screen. Mr. Kraig, do you have any concerns with any of these guys outside of Gronk and the injury? Do you feel like they're all really up there in that potential for getting you the number 1 tight end value?
Yeah, outside of Gronk with injuries, not going through walkthroughs still at this point, so it sounds like they may be leaning towards keeping him out. But if he does play, he certainly has that tight end 1 overall potential. Mark Andrews jumped up into the conversation with a few strong weeks, and I think even the emergence of Rashad Bateman, if that continues, the more options, the better. That way teams aren't able just to focus on Marquise Brown and then Mark Andrews. So he's thrown himself back into that ring, and I like him there as well, especially against Cincinnati and what could be another high-scoring game.
Absolutely. All right, so the tight end 1 tier, what are we seeing there? Who are we seeing? What are we thinking?
Kyle Pitts, TJ Hockenson,
Tyler Higbee,
Mike Gesicki, Henry Dallas, and Ricky Seals-Jones.
So the TE1 overall, when we're looking at the tight end 1 tier, it's got an interesting matchup there. So Hockenson has had an up and down season so far, mostly because teams are focusing on taking him out of the game because he's Detroit's number 1 option. But even last week against a pretty solid Cincinnati defense, he was targeted, I think, like 11 or 12 times and brought in quite a few of them. Do you see any concerns with the Higbee-Hockenson matchup? And is there anyone in the tight end 1 tier that gives you any kind of cause for concern?
Yeah, Hockenson does, and it's not really potential or his skill level concern. It's just that teams seem to be focused on taking him out because they don't have a lot of other players you can trust. And we know Detroit is trying to establish the run first, which limits opportunities until they fall behind, really. So yeah, the targets are there, but it just seems like teams want to be focusing on getting rid of him. So that does create some concern, but he does have that upside, and that's what we're looking at here. So I like him up there. Mike Gesicki showed it for the 2nd week in a row, really, and it was with a different quarterback. It was with Tua, which was nice to see. Higbee seems to be that play more based on the situation of they're going to be throwing a lot, and he's going to have opportunities. He's going to have a few catches a game. So he's right up there. He's the one that just doesn't feel like a priority sort of in the offenses when you're looking at these names here. So he's the one I feel less great about out of this group. Fant has shown for the past few weeks, and I think he was the tight end 1 last week, actually, in week 6, which was nice to see him getting that. And I don't expect that week in and week out. Certainly getting 11 targets is nice up there at the top of the week. And yeah, I like them all. Hunter Henry has definitely established himself as the tight end out of those 2 signed by New England. So if they're going to be throwing, and maybe not as often against the Jets, but he is the main tight end that's getting targets there. So I like it overall. Again, Higbee is the one that's I'd have more in the sleepers myself.
And that's smart because Hunter Henry is a very reliable target. His issue's always been health. This is a good group. And this week, if you're in need of a tight end to play, you've got some really good options and some really good matchups. When we get to the sleeper category, Kraig, who do we got? The sleepers list, this is an interesting group of guys. Now, obviously, injury to Gronk, if he doesn't play, then OJ and Cameron Brate then immediately become guys really, truly are sleepers because they could give you some solid production. They don't have to. Tampa can always just say, we're just going to target our receivers. We'll chuck a few to the running back, and tight ends will be more for blocking than anything. You never know. With Tampa, they can do whatever they want because they have so many skilled players. How does this sleepers category make you feel, and what are you thinking there?
So I like Moe Ali-Cox a lot. He's been getting targets, especially in the red zone for the Colts, and he seems to have a connection with Carson Wentz, so I like him. Zach Ertz, it's going to be his first game as part of the Cardinals. There's probably a learning curve a bit, but I expect him to be out there for big plays down in the red zone. So I do understand why he's in the sleeper. He just really isn't integrated into that system, but I expect him to be higher up in the coming weeks. The Browns, Hooper gets more of the snaps outside of one big week, and Njoku's played second fiddle to Hooper in the passing game. Like they both had 2 or 3 targets this past week. So I don't know that one is really better than the other in terms of targets. I think both are fine plays if Wentz is hurting and not going to be completely chucking the ball down the field. but still needing to pass because of a really diminished run game. Ross Dwelley is a sleeper that I like with the Kittle situation and the 49ers. They have to have someone that they're going to throw the ball to besides Debo. It really hasn't been Ayuk so far. Coming off a bye, it'll be interesting to see what they do, but I like him a lot as a sleeper here. And then it's a whole bunch of guys that I'm not really interested in just because they're not getting attention, like Tonyan or Kmet, guys that a lot of people had hoped for coming into the season, and it just hasn't panned out. Where some of these, Gerald Everett, Will Dissly, you don't know really what you're getting week to week. Hurst hasn't been targeted a whole lot, and with someone like Russell Gage coming back, it might even be less. Ian Thomas and Tremble have really been splitting targets, and then Evan Engram just isn't doing anything, so isn't really, despite his talent, he doesn't really interest me until they're shown, even with these wide receiver injuries, that targeting him is going to be a focus.
So obviously you have a lot of options this weekend. We got some good matchups, but if you need anything, find us. We'll help you out.